This video is going to look at the major flood disaster in the city of Derna in northern Libya due to Medicane Daniel. It occurred after extreme rain triggered multiple dam failures that sent a surge of water, mud and debris across a large section of the town surrounding the river, destroying a wide swath of buildings and tragically killing thousands. There's a lot to talk about here, so let's take a look at it. Medicane Daniel formed out of an upper-level cold core trough that dipped down over Europe, over Greece, bringing heavy floods to Greece, Bulgaria, Turkey, and other places. As the upper-level low moved over the Mediterranean, it developed a warm core inner core subtropical cyclone known as a Medicane over the Mediterranean. On the 9th of September, Medicane Daniel became fully formed as a tropical storm strength system in the Mediterranean Sea north of Libya. We know it was tropical storm strength, partly because we got an ASCAT scatterometer image that showed that there was a wide swath of 40 knot winds. The storm then hit eastern Libya on 10th of September as a tropical storm strength subtropical cyclone, Medicane. As the circulation moved inland, the heavy rain and thunderstorms were confined more on the northern side, while the southern and central part of the circulation picked up vast amounts of dust off the Sahara Desert. The dust wrapped around the central core of the circulation, creating the impression of a rotational dust storm, or let's call it a sandstorm eye. One of the things that's really useful to look at is the lightning data, because this gives an impression as to where the heaviest thunderstorms were located, producing the most intense rainfall most likely. Keep an eye on the time in the top right. As we go later on into the 10th of September, a thunderstorm band develops and persists over the Derna area. It actually peaks around 0 UTC to 02 UTC with a very specific band going in over the plateau, dumping presumably huge amounts of rain on the basin that flows into the river. To understand this event, we've got to take a closer look at the geography of the area around Derna. If we look at Derna from the top, you can see that it is surrounded by, Derna is over here, and there's the river that caused the flood. It's a canyon landscape into a elevated plateau, with Derna peeking out on the edge of the plateau. Let's just take a look at the heights we've got. It's not a hugely high mountains, but the mountains are around 200 to 300 meters high, it looks like. And that's the canyon coming down into the city. But this canyon is a bit different from a lot of the other canyons that intersect and go in like this. This canyon actually comes through and wraps around the back of the plateau and then spreads out a long way to the south of the plateau. And so this is all, I don't know exactly how far it goes, but it seems to go all the way out to here and maybe beyond. This means that it had a large catchment in this area that then would have flowed down the river towards Derna. The story of 23-year-old Amna is interesting because it gives an idea of the timing of when things got very bad, and also about the speed at which the floodwaters were rising. She was located in the beach towers, which can be seen before and after in these Maxar images, and most of the buildings around the beach towers collapsed during the event. I'll just read the description that she gives of the event. She says, "It really began around 2:30 a.m. Now, Libya time is 2 hours ahead of UTC, so this would be 12:30 UTC time just for the meteorological aspect. The noise was getting much louder. My brother said he could see water covering the street. As the water rose, the neighbors began to migrate upstairs. Amna grabbed the cat and 4 passports, and they went up from their first floor apartment to the 3rd floor apartment. People were looking outside into the dark, praying," she said. "Then the water reached the 3rd floor. Everyone started screaming. We moved up again to the 5th floor, and finally to the 7th floor. Panic had set in. I lost the cat," Amna said. I lost my little brother for a minute, but then I found him. I realized we could not even stay on the 7th floor. We had to go to the rooftop. From the rooftop, they could see neighbors on the roof of a 3-story building opposite, including a family they were friends with. The neighbors were waving their phone torches in the dark. Moments later, their entire building collapsed into the water in the dark. It felt like an earthquake, Amna said. That family still hasn't been found. Their son is looking for them. We told them that we saw their building collapse in front of our eyes. Amna's description gives the impression that the flood did not come all at once. It started to flood the lower levels and then gradually increased, submerging more and more areas. Of course, nobody could actually get out of the buildings when the entire area below is in incredibly dangerous flowing floodwaters. So people were trapped in the buildings and going to higher and higher floors while other buildings were collapsing under the force of the torrent. One of the factors that might have acted to enhance that thunderstorm rain band that came into Derna is this pocket of warm waters that was off the coast at the time. The wind was blowing around the cyclone onto the shore and then hitting the mountains, but as it was doing so, bringing large amounts of moisture through evaporation off the warm waters, particularly warm in this area. These waters are actually well above normal in this particular area. We can see that if we switch to the sea surface temperature anomalies, that the temperatures were about 2.3 degrees Celsius at peak there. So in the larger area, around 2 degrees above normal within this pocket. The reason why we have this cold area is partly because of the storm itself and the whole storm system that lingered for some time that actually cooled this whole area of the Mediterranean.
هذا وادي وهذا وادي، هاك تصور. هذا وديين وهذا المحقن، وهذيك طريق كانت تجي لعند الطريق هذا من فوق. عارفين يا جماعة درنا هذا السد، كان هناك سد.
تراب قاعد، سد تراب.